You want me to clear it?
It doesn't matter.
Ladies and gentlemen, we still have a committee meeting to do, so if you take your conversations into the hallway, please.
Thank you, Chairman. We will move into the Finance Committee meeting. So Madam Clerk, if you'll read in the record 126-20, please.
Resolution 126-20, a resolution to authorize the Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security to apply and accept the 2025 Homeland Security Grant with the Tennessee Department of Military and the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency in the amount of $197,676.95.
Okay. Chief Adams, you want to,
Resolution 126-21, a
hang
resolution.
on a second. Chief Adams, you want to say anything to this?
No, sir, I'm fine if you are.
Okay. Don't see any lights. I think it's kind of outlined in the paperwork, so. See no questions? We'll take it up next week. Okay, Madam Clerk, 126-21.
Resolution 126-21, a resolution approving the expenditure of funds in an amount not to exceed $500,000 of awarded CDBG CV Food and Security Grant funds for the purchase of equipment and supplies for local food bank partners and authorizing the county mayor to sign any contracts necessary to implement this resolution.
Okay.
Mayor Spencer, do you have any questions about this resolution?
I see no lights. You want to kind of 10
Yeah,
seconds, take it,
you
sir?
guys have already accepted the award. This is going to be a pass-through to 8 different food banks in the area, and it's just allowing procurement to purchase equipment for them.
Okay, good deal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you write the,
This was this is CARES money from the first COVID.
okay, great job. Thank you. Okay, no lights. We'll take that up next week. 126-22, please.
Resolution 126-22, a resolution to allocate an amount up to $750,000 from the Hotel Motel Fund from the fiscal year 2026 budget to support specifically identified projects.
Okay, Mayor?
Chairman, just 3 different items here, and the people relevant to the first 2. I see Commissioner Baker, who's also an airport board member over there. Seeing which order they are on and for y'all's purposes. So one, is Emily Mack here with River City? There she is, back in the corner. No, that's Sarah. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on. So the first is $250,000 into Commissioner Mackey's district through River City. These are funds that are matched by the city of Chattanooga. I think their commitment to the same program is coming up next week. And this is for retail recruitment efforts downtown. Second is funding that we had committed to. There were 4 agencies that committed funding to an airline recruitment program that April certainly could speak to, or Charles Wood could speak to the details of it. But there were 4 partners that committed $150,000. And the foundation, the Chattanooga Chamber Foundation, is the steward of these funds. And then the last one is part of our ongoing effort to be more creative in our use of hotel motel funds, those funds that the county has held on to. These are funds that are budgeted in the fiscal year 2026 budget. And I would use as an example of this, we were able to take on a unique but really valuable project at the Harrison Ball Fields when we put turf down with hotel motel funds. That facility has shown a great return on investment. Candidly, and Matt Foles can speak to this, the county would like to operate a few splash pads in the future. There are different sites that we're considering. These are low maintenance but high fun, particularly for families. And summers here can be about as miserable as summers anywhere. One of the reasons for beginning this in Lookout Valley is the splash pad that we've designed is relatively modest in size. But the reason for the location is Lookout Valley is unique when you look at hotel motel tax generation in our community. Between the city and county, who both collect hotel motel tax revenue, at the 17 hotels and motels in Lookout Valley, there's 1.7, nearly just shy of $1.7 million annually that is collected in Lookout Valley. And I would just argue as a former Lookout Valley resident, that virtually none of that money flows back into Lookout Valley. And some of that is nobody's fault. It's just, I think we can be more creative in reinvesting these funds across our community. Certainly some of these funds we're getting to use on parks and for different creative purposes. But this site is tailor-made for it. I would say where some of your districts have benefited from our push to bring turf to both public county facilities and then public school facilities. We haven't been able to do that in Lookout Valley, and there's now a large 18th hotel under development there. So part of this is just acknowledging this is a community with an enormous population of hotels and motels, and also some of y'all's beloved Airbnb activity. That's also going on there. And so we think this strikes a great balance of hotel motel operators in that community will certainly point families towards a splash pad, but then it also would benefit the folks that are locally in the community. And if you've looked at other pricing in communities around ours, I would say the price that's in front of y'all is a result of Matt Foles doing a great job working with a vendor to sharpen their pencil and get a good price.
Well, the splash pad is in the next resolution. So we'll take that.
Well, the
comment.
fund, it's also listed in this one,
Is it?
but the contract for it is the next
Yeah.
resolution.
So just a quick question for Lee. We anticipated on some of the hotel motel monies been used for other things this year. How are we standing right now with looking at the balance? Are we gonna, as far as hotel motel monies?
Yes, we had budgeted, I guess, starting in fiscal year 25, we had set aside some funds that actually did not get expended, all of it in fiscal year 25 that we carried over into 26. And we budgeted some this year. So after this resolution, we expect to have about $750,000 still available.
Okay, and that's in the calendar budget we're in now.
Fiscal year
Right.
26, yes, sir.
Okay. Good deal. Okay. Mr. Sharp?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. 750,000 left in that account. And if I missed this, I don't know, maybe somebody else brought this up and I'd stepped outside for just a moment. And if that's the case, I apologize. But back in June, we were having some conversations about needing to squirrel away hotel motel dollars in case there was a shortfall on revenue to pay bond service, debt service on the stadium bond. And I'm just curious if we're spending all of that money, do we have a better outlook on that today, or what's the prognosis there?
Let me speak to that first, and then Lee, you can chime in with any details. The way that the debt service payments are scheduled, there's a very modest debt service payment that is due in fiscal year 26. Part of what we were showing on the horizon last budget year is that just based on the realistic timeline of building a building, usually a 24-month process, last budget year, we could tell that when the large debt service payments are going to be due in 2027 fiscal year and 2028 fiscal year, there will be a shortfall. The shortfall that falls in this fiscal year, which of course only has about 5.5 months left in it, is probably very little to nothing because the debt service payment is so small. It's only if I remember right, it's a little shy of $400,000. Lee can confirm that. So I think that will be an ongoing concern. It's certainly not a concern with $750,000 of reserves remaining. And I'd also add that $750,000 does not include what we expect in the form of a contribution, a reimbursement from the city on the history experience. So if they were to match us, that would put our hotel motel fund back to $1 million.
So, okay, so I guess what we're saying is we're not concerned about needing to squirrel money away for that now?
Not in fiscal year 2026. I mean, Lee can correct me, but I think they're probably, the debt service payments are not equal. The first full debt service payment, I believe, is in fiscal year 2028, but there's a large debt service payment that we'll be considering in the upcoming budget, which is fiscal year 2027. But I mean, there's nothing being built over there. So I mean, there is going to be shortfall. I mean, you can go to the site, there's a stadium,
Well,
there's nothing around the stadium.
The reason I asked the question is because there seemed to be significant concern about that. And I'm just kind of worried we're spending in the last 2 weeks we've spent $1.25 million with this resolution out of the hotel motel fund. And if we were trying to save that for something else, I just want to make sure that we're all being cognizant of that so that,
I think the answer is yes. It's just,
Okay.
we're trying to explain that the debt service payments, it's not like a mortgage where the first year you pick, you're just paying the same thing every year. It was designed so that the debt service payments on that stadium were pushed out a couple years. So the first large debt service payment is fiscal year 2027. The first full debt service payment is not till fiscal year 2028. One of the reasons that I brought that to everybody's attention is we have a development agreement that was approved by this body that calls for the developers to have already brought buildings out of the ground that have not, there haven't been permits applied for at the city. So they're in violation of the development agreement, and we know things aren't happening. And we knew that last budget year. You could just tell based on, again, a realistic 2-year time frame. But I'm not concerned about hotel motel funds in fiscal year 2026 because the debt service payments on the stadium for fiscal year 2026 are very small.
no, I understand that. My question was, do we need to be saving money in 2026 and 2027 in order to make debt service payments in 2028? That was my concern because we had discussed that, back in the budget season, that might be the case. So we're not concerned about squirreling money away for the next 2 years to make debt.
No, I
service
think we
payments.
are concerned about that, but as we've stated here, we're gonna have, if this resolution is approved, there's still $750,000, which would be more than adequate for this fiscal year. It would be a number that would be relevant for the following fiscal year, but we also we'll go back through a budgeting process for fiscal year 2027, and we'll have this conversation with a sharper idea of what the future holds, because we'll be looking at the first large debt service payment and then the first full debt service payment. And it would probably be helpful for Lee to pull up just what those are to jog everybody's memory on what will be due from the city and county. Because those, when we first were talking about this, they were quite a ways out in the future. And there was a small amount that was due this year. That's
Yeah.
what started the conversation
so.
last year.
Okay, well, if I could, and I think we actually are planning to meet in the next couple of days. I can't remember exactly when, but I would like to talk some more about that. Chairman, thank you for the time. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to put some 2 cents in there, Commissioner. We knew there was a shortfall from the day we voted. We knew it was gonna cost this county money. I don't wanna see us take away from small neighborhoods, hurt things we can be doing with this money. We have a shortfall in 27, hold more of their money. Hotel motel money, pay for that stadium over there, not out of communities.
Commissioner Graham?
I agree with what Commissioner Shipley just said, but I wanted to be clear for the general public that when we're talking about a shortfall at the ball stadium, we're not talking about using, it is the taxpayers' money of Hamilton County, but it's not generated by property tax. It's generated by the hotel motel tax. So the tourists that are coming here are actually paying for the debt service. And then, like the mayor said, we're building another budget right after that and another budget right after that. So the money will be there if we're behind on the stadium payments. But I agree with Commissioner Shipley that we just have to dip a little further into, 2 years from now, if that's the case, we just have to dip a little further into the hotel motel tax. I'm hoping that we have a better agreement between Chattanooga, Hamilton County, and the Chattanooga the Chattanooga Tourist Company long before then. I hope that we can get Chattanooga to step up and split that with us. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, see no more lights. We'll take this up next week. We'll move on to 12623, please.
Resolution 126-23, a resolution approving the expenditure of funds in an amount not to exceed $350,000 for splash pad equipment at John A. Patton Community Center for the Hamilton County Parks and Recreation Department, and authorizing the county mayor to sign any contracts necessary to implement this resolution.
Okay, Matt?
Yeah, we are working on an MOU with the city, so we'll be adding that into the packet to speak to kind of the maintenance and other components because it's on their property.
Thank you. No question. Yeah, Chairman Smith?
So Matt, the MOU is expected to be in the packet before we vote on this next week.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yep.
As soon as it comes out, I would love to take a look at it before the meeting time next week.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, that is all of finance. Twenty-four.
See. Education, Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Clerk, can we hear 12624 read, please?
Resolution 126-24, a resolution approving the loan agreement for the issuance of debt by Hamilton County Schools for an energy efficient schools initiative and authorizing the execution of the loan agreement in an amount not to exceed $5 million.
And who wants to explain that to us? Dr. Sharp? Thank you. While you're coming to the podium, we might have a question for Lee because my understanding is that the school can't carry debt. So, And
And
it-
that piece is correct. This will be, we have to approve the debt for the schools, but this debt will be paid not from the tax base, but it's going to be, in theory, and the way it's designed, it's going to be paid from energy savings at the school system on this, on these expenditures that we're putting in. So
but they're legal to carry, we will actually be carrying the debt, not the school system?
yes, it's basically Hamilton County, yes, the Hamilton County Commission has to approve this debt to have it. And the school board is meeting tomorrow to
Tomorrow
vote
night.
on it, I believe. But yes, at the end of the day, the expectation is the school board will pay the debt, but
Yeah, they'll pay it back to us, but we're carrying the debt because they're not legally allowed to carry the debt.
that is correct. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dr. Sharp.
I think you've got it. I don't have much else to add other than we're real excited about this opportunity. This is going to be a major lighting project where we're upgrading the lighting in all of our buildings, in every classroom, hallways, office areas. So it'll be improved lighting, but also over the long term, it'll be significant energy savings and cost savings as well.
So it's just all lighting? There's no HVAC or anything
It's
else?
lighting only.
Any questions from my fellow commissioners? I plan, if we're not snowed in, I plan to be at your meeting tomorrow night to hear the school board talk about it as well. But I don't see, no questions. So this will probably go through next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Rules and legislative met in the back, so we'll move on to public works and zoning. Commissioner Highlander, you have a single resolution.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman. Madam Clerk, would you read 126-26, please?
Resolution 126-26, a resolution to rezone from A1 Agricultural District and R2A Rural Residential District to C2 Local Business Commercial District with conditions for the property located at 2425 and 2501 Suck Creek Road.
Thank you, ma'am. Brian, would you care, Mr. Schultz, would you
Sure.
care to discuss that?
Not a problem.
with us,
Brian
please?
Schultz, RPA. This is case 2025-180 at 2425, 2501 Suck Creek Road. This is a request to rezone property from A1 and R2A to C2 Local Business Commercial District. For a piece of property, it's roughly 24 acres in size. Proposed use is a tourist court, cottage, rental type facility with retail farm store. Seven cottages are proposed with one single family dwelling. That's a density of 1 dwelling unit per acre. There's been no zoning history on this particular piece of property. However, to the southwest or southeast of the site, you can see there's existing C2. So there is precedent in the area for commercial zoning. Went back to check the history of that commercial zoning. It's at that time in the 1950s, it was a zone light business. You see in the yellow circle, that was zoned commercial in 1950. So it's been there for quite some time. It's a vacant piece of property and a single family dwelling. Just some history on Suck Creek Road, about 3,000 feet to the west, almost the Marion County line. There's a similar type venue that's present. It's called Gardens in the Gorge up the Creek Trail, which is a private road. It's for cottages, a wedding venue, and other venues occurring on that property. So there's a similar use nearby. This is currently a vacant piece of property. To the north is TVA land and vacant trails. Vacant land to the west and vacant land to the east and single-family dwellings to the south of the property. Here's a view of the site. This is a view of the entranceway into the site. This is south of the site. Another view south of the site, and this is east of the site. This is west of the site into the development. This is Suck Creek Road. This is in Plan Hamilton, which again was adopted by the Planning Commission in 2025. There is no place type recommendation for this particular piece of property. However, it does recommend protecting steep slopes, anything over 25%. There are some slopes on this property. Here's a site plan submitted with this request. It's 7 cottage housing units and 1 single family dwelling. Here's an image of the cottage of the house that will be on the site. Again, it's a very small 1-bedroom unit. These will be rented out. Here's a view of the farm store. It's calling it a farm shop. It's really a retail store for the residents who are staying there or renting a cottage for the night. Staff reviewed this and the request was compatible with adjacent land uses as it's single-family dwellings. Under the current zoning, this property could be developed at a higher density than what's there now. The proposal for 7 units for cottage rentals and 1 single-family dwelling and a farm store represents a lower intensity that can be developed presently. As presently zoned, you can get about 48 housing units on this property. So staff recommended approve with 4 conditions. These conditions limit uses to single-family dwellings, short-term vacation rentals, retail sales, single-wide and double-wide manufactured homes, and farming and tourist court. The retail store area shall be not exceed 600 square feet of floor area, trying to keep that very small and compact. Maximum building height of 2.5 stories or 35 feet, and a maximum of 8 tourist courts. There was opposition at Planning Commission. I'm not sure, I don't see them here today, but a lot of their concerns related to traffic, septic tank concerns. There's some rocks on the site. Access could be an issue. And one of the questions is why not C5, why C2? Planning Commission heard those comments and heard the public during the public meeting and determined that this request is permitted, is permitted by right and is compatible with adopted land use plan and is compatible with adjacent land uses are recommended to approve with the same 4 conditions that staff recommended. Again, follow opposition last month focused on why not C5? Are there other zones? Again, this is a tourist court. Tourist courts are allowed in C1, you see on the screen, but retail sales are prohibited. So he couldn't have the farm store on this property. One of the questions from opposition was why not C5? Well, C5 specifically prohibits tourist courts. C2 is the only zone that will allow this gentleman to do what he intends to do on the property. Again, it's much less intense than what he could do by right with those conditions. So this comes to this body with a recommendation to approve with 4 conditions. Answer any questions y'all may have.
Are there any questions from Mr. Schultz? Mr. Chairman, are we allowed to have public comment on this?
Regular zoning meeting, sir.
Okay, so thank you, Brian. Would you like to comment, sir? Would you like to comment on it?
No, we're just hoping this gets approved and we can move forward with our plans here.
Okay,
No, we're just hoping it gets approved so we can move forward with our plans here.
thank you. Could we hear from the commissioner for this district?
That's me, no, Brian.
That's I believe that's Mr.
Dose?
Baker, is that
Dose,
correct?
that would be me. Yes, I am
Yes.
Baker. No, I haven't had a problem. You got, you know, the opposition was basically stuff that easily handled.
Yes, and that's why they have the conditions recommended on this property.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That'll conclude Public Works and Zoning.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That wraps our committees. Thank you.